The Race by Megan Adams, Esme Danielson, and Grace Foley.
It was a stormy, dark night when Jack was thinking back on the race. I should have won that race, he thought. This had been the only thought running through his mind ever since the race a year ago. I should have trained harder. Then I wouldn't have been there when she had tripped me. He had held a grudge on this girl Belle ever since that day of the race. He imagined the moment as he ran 10 feet from the finish line, with no one in front of him, the sun beating down, moments from winning, until a girl stuck her leg out in front of him. He fell, slamming his face into the pavement. He heard her feet pounding away. By the time he got up, she had already received the medal and the $10,000 cash prize. Man, if she ever has the nerve to bother me again, he thought quietly. The next day, when at the market, he bumped into her and fell. When he finally got up, he looked at her and grinned. Finally, he thought, I can get my revenge. He immediately jumped up and greeted the woman. Why, hello, Belle. It has definitely been a while. Would you like to come over for tea and to catch up? He waited for her answer, until finally she said, I would love to. I will see you there. He finished up his shopping, and he went off home to make some tea and set up for his company. He awaited the knocking on the door, until finally he heard a car door close and footsteps walk up to the door. He smirked as he let Belle in and showed her to the living room. Please sit down, he said. Let me get you some tea. Make yourself at home. He poured the tea and then grabbed the hammer and put it behind his back as he walked into the living room. He carefully sneaked behind Belle and tiptoed, avoiding every creaky floorboard he could, and slowly raised the hammer above her and brought it down with a quick bang. Slowly, Belle let out a scream and fell to the floor. He stared at her. She was no longer moving. He swiftly and quietly turned off the light, threw open the drawer to put the hammer away, and ran upstairs.
Jack began to sweat. Sure, let me show you around. Come on in. He paced around and started around the house, making sure not to show the officers the living room where Belle was lying. After the house had been toured and searched, the police officers asked, What about this room, sir? It looks very nice. You would not mind if we took a look around, right? Jack began to shake and tremble. His knees felt weak, his arms felt numb. He couldn't open that door. What would they say? The first officer that he had met walked up to the door, grabbed the doorknob, and flung the door open. The officer stood in confusion as the second officer walked up and peeked into the room. Quickly, he grabbed a red-faced Jack. The other officer called for backup as Jack was led over to the police car and shoved in with handcuffs holding him down. The bars around him felt cold. He sat in silence on the frozen metal bench, staring into space, thinking about what he had committed. I've done it, he thought. I've got my revenge. I've done the thought that has ruined my insides, haunted me since the day that she won that race that I deserved to win.
Then suddenly, the door swung open and a beautiful brunette girl walked in. Hello, Jack, the pretty lady said. I believe you remember me. How could I forget? You're from the race last year, right? Jack said. I am, and my name is Gracie. Gracie, I'll remember that, Jack muttered back. I think that there is something you should know, she said. What? Jack answered, now interested. Belle wasn't the one who tripped you at the race. I did. What? Jack screamed. No, I remember it was Belle. It had to be. That's why I'm here.
Guys, 5 more minutes?
I know that's what you thought, but it was actually me, and I just thought that you should know. Gracie spoke calmly, almost as if this wasn't a big deal at all. Next, the guard came in and let her out. After a while, Jack started thinking again. That's it, Jack thought. I need to break out. He waited until it was dark. All the staff had left except for the guards. He peeked through the cold bars and saw a guard leaning against the wall. Jack could see that the guard was distracted. His fingers were drumming against the cement wall. As the guard looked back at him, Jack quietly pulled himself back to his bed. Slowly, he crawled up to his cell bars, barely breathing. Hesitantly, he pushed his head to the bars and looking to his side. The guard was gone. In his place was a key. It was just sitting there. Jack waited carefully for what seemed like forever. Finally, he checked for the key. It was about 6 inches from his cell. This is my only chance, Jack thought as he reached for the key. He picked it up and slid his hand up to the lock that kept him in his cell. He pushed the key in the hole, turned it, and he was out. He sprinted through the gray, maze-like halls until he reached the exit. I hope this works, Jack thought while crossing his fingers. He reached up toward the padlock on the door. Come on, Jack said aloud before quickly stopping himself. He heard a click and the door opened. As he stepped in the cold night air, he had one thought in his head. Gracie.